Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is. Raiders versus the world, talking about the team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. All right, so a couple things have happened since the last time we talked. And I just wanted to get a little bit of time to talk to you guys about, just a few things. Number one, I want to talk about the Geno Smith interview after his press conference. I think it went a little bit more in depth. I think Geno is a man of few words. He wanted to get out there and he kept iterating the same things over and over again, which is fine. It shows that he's just, like he said, he's about that action. He wants to go out there and he wants to prove it. And the guys are in early off-season workouts and everything like that because they have a new head coach, which unfortunately I think we're very used to the team going in there a couple of weeks early because they have a new head coach. But I think we'll be all right. So let's check in, guys. Who's here? Who's here? Everyone, please make sure to like this live. Kind of a last-minute thing. I appreciate you guys hopping on. Who's here? Anybody want to say hello? Oh, you guys are shy tonight, huh? All right. No problem. No problem. Hey, Space Beast, what's up, man? He said he's digging these late night lives. Yeah, bro. Get the word out, man. Raiders versus the world. We like to go out there and do our strange at night. I like to come on at night because I've gone live a couple of times. On my other channel, I was live when Rodney Hudson was traded away. And it's like, we already have a whole show planned out. And then it's like, it's better off for me, I think, is to come on a little bit later when things are just a little bit more calm and we can go ahead and just talk about the things that we want to talk about. So what are we going to talk about today? Main things we're going to talk about today are, I want to get into this Geno Smith interview with Eddie Pascal from Upon Further Review, and just a little bit more in depth on who he is as Geno Smith is. I know that the press conference was maybe a little bit drier because it was just the same thing over and over again, stuff like that. And let's see. Raiders versus the World is a great name, by the way. You know what? That's like a hidden gift of mine, is to be able to come up with good names for things. I actually came up with the name of the other podcast as well. If you guys didn't know, I'm one half of the Autumn Windbags, and because the autumn wind, right? The Raiders autumn wind, and we're a couple of windbags. We just talk a lot of crap, so we're the autumn windbags. So we were kind of throwing around back and forth. Hey, should we start a podcast? Should we not start a podcast? Let's think about it. And then we're like, well, if we're gonna do it, what are we gonna call it? And I said, what about the autumn windbags? And that was it. Boom, done. So I came up with the name for my two podcasts that I'm on. I came up with the names for both of them. So appreciate it, man. Andrew Evenstar, what's up, brother? Good to see you. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about, we're actually going to watch the interview with Geno Smith. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to try my very best not to pause like the last time, and I was just kind of talking over the whole thing. But we're going to listen to the interview with Geno Smith and Eddie Pascal. We're going to talk about it, take some of your comments about it. Then we're going to go through I find it extremely hard to believe that we're going to make any just crazy impactful signings before the draft. There's been some inklings, and I have a video coming out soon about some of the wide receivers that are still available, and some of the rumblings that the Raiders are going to sign a wide receiver before the draft. I don't know that for sure, but who knows? But we're going to talk a little bit about just give what the hell am I trying to say? Give a report card for the free agency so far this year, as opposed to this point last season, and we'll get into a lot of that good stuff. Rick Rock, what's up, baby? How are we doing? All right, let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna go ahead and watch this video. If you've seen it before, just bear with me, okay? I'm gonna make some commentary about it, and go ahead and make the chats are open. The super chats are always open, and we'll go ahead from there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and listen to this interview.
First off, congratulations. An exciting day for you, an exciting day for us, an exciting day for the entirety of the Raider Nation. I'll start here. What have the past few weeks been like for you, man? Because we look at the offseason program starts tomorrow. You're here today. Yeah. Obviously, everything that's gone in. Like, what has it been like to be Geno Smith as of late?
Man, sticking to the routine, working. I've been training. I've been down there in South Florida working with my trainer, Dr. Reef. He always does a great job with us, and we've been down there getting after it, man. It's been super hot. Shoot, man, I've been, I got the six-pack back. I'm feeling stronger than ever. Body's feeling healthy. I'm ready to go.
How much of, let's call it, the next portion of time, right, before we really start getting into training camp and all that good stuff, but, like, how much of this is just for you connecting with the new guys, and you said in your press conference, learning names and figuring out who's who, like, how important is that for you as the quarterback to be like, hey, I know all 90 guys on this roster?
I mean, that's the important part of these next few months is to, really get acclimated with the guys, really get to meet all my teammates, hit the field with them, get to throw to Jacoby and Trey and Brock and all the guys that we got on the team. And, for them to also see me and see what I'm about and for us to start to build this team. Like I said, it's exciting times, but it's time to work.
We saw in that story that Albert Beer put out this morning that JPJ came down, spent a little bit of time with you. Yeah. Obviously, that's an important relationship, right? Yeah. The man under center and the center itself. So, how important was it for you guys just to get a little time on task? And I'm sure, I don't know if you guys had met each other, but just be like, hey, by the way, I'm Geno.
Yeah. No, I met him when I came up here and did my physical, and he was in here. I mean, I love it. He was in here getting his workout in and, getting ready for the season and getting ready for OTAs. And then, when I got an opportunity to talk to him and he came down to Florida, we got on the field, we got some snaps. We're talking protections. We went out to dinner, had a nice dinner and, really just got to meet the man and get to know him as a person. And, he's a really special guy already, I can tell. I'm looking forward to working with him.
Did he give you a hard time for not going to Oregon?
He didn't. Obviously Oregon and Seattle kind of in the same area, so I think we're cool there. But, yeah, I mean, he's an Oregon guy. You know how they are, but it's cool.
I do know how they are because I'm an Oregon guy, so I'll give you a hard time. I'm going to give you a hard time for not going to Oregon all those years ago. But, you talk about some of the special nature of JPJ and another guy in this building who, I don't know if you've had a chance to meet yet, but it said you FaceTime with is Maxx, right? Just the embodiment of professionalism, high motor, a dude who's going to get after it every single day. Like, how excited are you to be a teammate of his now and not be on the other side and be like, all right, where's 98 at?
Yeah, I mean, when we played him in Seattle, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, man, he was such a pest out there and just I felt like every play he was like just hitting me some way, just finding a way to get to the quarterback. And I've always been a big fan of his. We were on the field when we were playing against one another. We were kind of laughing and joking with each other. I told him, you're not going to get a sack today. He's like, I'm coming, I'm going to get to you. And he played hard the entire game. I was really, really impressed by that. Then to get a chance to meet him, to see the type of guy that he is, that's the way we want to lead this organization. That's the type of stuff you want leading your organization.
What do we think in the comments,
guys? A guy who's going to work and going to play hard, be a professional, do all the right things, set the example, set the tone for the other guys, for the young guys. And when you got a guy like Maxx, sky's the limit. That's the way I see it.
We've heard so much over the past couple weeks, about your accuracy, the understanding of the game between the years. But, like, what's the portion of your game that we haven't talked enough about? Like, what's one of the things that you're really proud of? Like, hey, man, I can do this, that, and the other, but don't sleep on this portion of my game.
Yeah, I think people – the one thing that I don't like is that people try to use my age as like as a negative thing. But, I've gained a lot of wisdom, but I'm also still very strong and fast. And, I mean, if you want to get these young 24-years, 23-year-olds out there on the field and work with me, we'll see who's faster and who's stronger. But, like, I'm still athletic. I can still move. I'm still mobile. I believe that, I've continued to get, faster and stronger throughout my career. And I'm in a really good spot here at 34, be 35 this year, but I still feel like I'm 21. And, people will see that when they get to see me on the field. They'll see I'm quick twitch, I can move, I can play all the positions, but I'm just a quarterback.
Pete talked about he's talked about it a lot, but he brought it up again today. Just the experience that you gain from sitting in that number 2 chair, and you talked about being that second coach for Russ or whoever it was when you were waiting for your turn. Yeah. When you zoom out now and you kind of look at that experience of having to wait, of having to be ready to go at a moment's notice, like what do you take away from those times?
Yeah, I mean, I gained patience, something that I really never really had in my life. I gained perspective. You go from I had never been, a second string quarterback, or I'd never not played. I mean, my entire life, from the time I was 11 years old, I was a 4-year starter in high school, 4-year starter in college, started out the gate in the NFL, and then you take a seat back, and it was all new to me. And at first, I resented it. I hated it. I still hate those times, but I had to go through it in order to get to this point. And I thank God he makes no mistakes, and so I'm happy with it.
All right, let's take a little break there from the interview and talk a little about what we've heard here. The last question, I think, is actually a really good talking point here. The fact that he was used to being the starter wherever he went since he was 11 years old, and then he had to take a step back and he had to learn, he had to mature, right? And he had to get better mentally about the game. That's something that's kind of, I think, understated when it comes to players in general and quarterbacks specifically. Now, we're going to see, because of a couple different things, transferring and NIL and stuff like that, we're going to actually see quarterbacks stay in college longer, okay, and develop even more and be more of like the 4th, 5th year guys even before they come out in the draft, because they want to put their best foot forward to get into the draft, but they're also still making money while they're in college. So we're going to see this sometimes because, look, of course, these college coaches want to develop their quarterbacks, want to develop their players. But I've said it a few times, and I hope I don't sound like a broken record. A lot of times what we're going to see is like what happened with Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe really wasn't developed as a quarterback. What happened at Alabama is they just kind of let him do what he did well because they needed to win games, right? And I understand the coaches, they got to win games. They want to keep their job and everything like that. But you're going to really see these players, unless they go into a situation that's really stable or a situation that is a perfect fit coaching-wise, some of these guys are going to come out of college, even though they've been playing a long time, and they've had a lot of snaps in college. You're going to see it that a lot of times these guys may still have a lot of work they need to do. And that's something that's really important for guys like Geno Smith when he came out of college. Like, there was a lot of things that he needed to work on and a lot of things that he needed to kind of get better at. And one of the things that he said he needed to get better at is his patience. And that's a big thing, man. That's no small thing here, because honestly, when you're humble and you're patient and you let the work do the talk for you, that's what makes you a better teammate. It makes you a better person. It makes you a better player because you're able to take a step back and have perspective, which is another thing that he said he got much better at by being on the bench. He hates being on the bench. He loves playing. He wants to play. That's all great things, right? You want a guy that's a competitor out there, but these things are all the building blocks to make the person that he is right now. Just Raiders, baby. What do we got here? Salute Soda, Raiders versus the world. Good to see you. Yeah, man. What's up? I want to do some more lives here and there. I want to do some more lives. Yeah, it's true, Rick Rock. Geno never really had any crazy injuries. He had a couple dings here and there. But I mean, that's why the first thing I said when you talked about what are some things that people might not know about you, he's this mobility. He's a lot faster and a lot more mobile than people give him credit for. And he's a lot better athlete that people give him credit for. You're going to see him play on the field. You're going to see like, wow, he's a lot bigger than I thought. He's a lot better athlete than I thought. So I think a lot of this stuff's going to give Chip Kelly. I mean, Chip Kelly's been wanted to have Geno on his team for, almost 15 years now, right? He's going to be 34, 35, maybe more than 15 years if he's 18 years old coming out of high school, because Chip Kelly wanted him to go to Oregon out of high school. So Chip Kelly knows how to work with a player of Geno Smith's talents and abilities. And this is another good step for us moving forward. All right, man. You just send me a message and we'll figure something out. For sure. All right, y'all. Okay. Let's go on here and we'll listen to a little bit more of the interview and then we'll talk a little more about it and we'll go on from there. All right, guys.
Oh, you talked about, your dude who's been in the NFL now for a minute, going to turn 35 this year. at this point in your professional life, at this point in your personal life, like how important was it to have a clear vision for what this chapter is going to look like? You know, we heard from Pete, we've heard from Spytek, you know, you mentioned Tom Brady being involved in this process too. Like to have that clarity of like, this is what it's going to look like. This is what we need you to do. Like how valuable is that for you at this juncture?
You know, it's extremely valuable for everyone, not just myself, for guys to understand, you know, that everyone on the team has a role. And we've got to be excellent in our roles. I took that, you know, head on when I was the backup. Like, let me be the best that I can be for the starting quarterback. Let me give him everything that he needs to go out there and be successful. And that includes competing with him and trying to be better with him at practice. That's something, you know, Russ and I, we always competed. And I thought it made, you know, both of us better. And once you have clarity, you know, and you can set the vision, you can set the direction, then everyone can start moving in that direction. And there should be no misunderstandings. There should be, you know, no gray area. And I believe that, you know, once everything's black and white and set in stone, you can start to, you know, get things rolling. I think that's what's happening here. I really see that.
You know, Pete talked about it, and obviously he talked about it as well, just the importance of that relationship in all of this coming to fruition. You know, we've heard so much. You know, Pete's talked so glowingly about you, and obviously you've talked about what Pete has meant to you in your professional and personal life too. But, like, how rare is it at this point in the NFL when you guys are all pros to have a relationship like the one you have with Pete?
I would say it's extremely rare. I would say, and it's not just my relationship with Pete. You can see the relationship Pete has with all of the guys that he's coached, from Marshawn Lynch to Doug Baldwin to, you know, to Richard Sherman. I mean, just all those guys. And you could see when Coach Carroll was in Seattle, they all wanted to come back and just help the program because that's the type of coach that he was. He was a very helping guy. And he's the same guy every day. That's what I love about Pete. He's bringing so much energy. He's so clear in his mindset and the direction that he wants things to go. And when he has a vision for things, I mean, you saw it at USC. You saw it when he got you know, to Seattle and what they built there. And I think he has a clear vision. And you know, when him wanting me to be a part of that is very, very you know, special. And I take that responsibility very seriously. And so I want to make sure that Coach Carroll is making the right decision. I know he did, but I want everyone else to see it.
You know, one thing that I wrote down when I was taking my notes during your press conference was he said, you know, the opportunity to work with Brock Bowers. And you're like, man, he's an all-pro, he's done this and that, but he's got so much room to get better. And part of my job is to help him get better. What a unique situation it is for the quarterback to come in, one of the youngest guys on the roster, has established himself as one of the premier tight ends, one of the best guys at his position. Like, how excited are you to kind of not only work with Brock, but like you said, hopefully take this thing from here and even get it a level higher?
I'm so excited. I can't wait to hit the field. You know, that's what I'm here for, is to go out there and quarterback and be the quarterback on the field. You know, I know we do a lot of talking. You know, thanks for having me on the podcast. But, like, I'm really the guy that's, you know, going to hit the field and hit the weight room, hit the classroom.
What's up, John? How's it going, baby?
Do what it takes to be great. And to have Brock, a guy who, again, I've watched him at Georgia since he was a freshman. I watched football, you know, religiously, and knew he was going to be a great player. And then for him to come into his rookie season and do what he did, and I know that he probably thinks the same thing, that he can get better. And that's what it's about. We're always going to take that next step. And so hopefully I can be a guy that can help
Victimville. What's up, Steven?
You know, man, you've been so generous with your time, and you're right. You've done a lot of talking today, so I'm going to let you go. But I got one more for you. Just, I was thinking about this over the past couple of days, Geno. There's something so Raiders about your journey to get here, right? A guy who's been at multiple spots, who's had to wait his turn, who's been told, hey, maybe not here, maybe not now. But now you sit here going into this season as the guy wearing that iconic shield on your hat, man. Like, does it feel like it's kind of been this long and winding road has taken us here for a reason?
I believe so, man. I believe that, you know, things happen for a reason. And I'm here for a reason. Happy to be in the silver and black, you know, ready to go out there and, again, be a part of the community, meet all the fans, go out there on the field and just be excellent. I mean, it's going to be a great time. I can't wait.
Yeah, and we're excited to have you here. Like I said, man, we appreciate you so much.
Cool. All right, man. You know, nice interview, dude. It wasn't a hard-hitting interview, but a couple of subjects were breached. You know, what he thought about some of the weapons he has on the field, how his relationship was with Pete Carroll, why he thinks Pete Carroll is such a good coach and is such a good motivator. A lot of good stuff, man. We're going to talk about that right now. This is something that I think there's a lot of things that are going into the season right now that are really big positives that not a lot of people are focusing on, but are huge. And it goes to show you that these personal relationships go a long way. Look at it from this perspective. Pete Carroll has been shown to elevate the game of others. He's been shown to elevate the game of people that play for him. When that happens, the players normally get paid more money, right? So the sense out there, and I've heard this said before, the sense out there, Marshawn Lynch actually said it, is that Pete Carroll gets dudes paid, right? So if you want to get paid and you're kind of like one of these middling guys, or you're a veteran who wants to get one last contract, go play for Pete Carroll. He'll put you in the right positions. He'll get you paid. Now, there's other things on top of that, like personal communication and personal connection, and just the trust that you have as a player for Pete Carroll. Those are all things that have different degrees of weight with different people. Some people are just like, I'm not too worried about that. I want some guy that gets me paid. Some people are like 50-50. Some people are like, yeah, the money will come, but I want to make sure I play for a guy that I can respect and that respects me. It's all great stuff, man. Another thing that we took a look at here is the fact that Geno Smith embraces the role of a leader. Okay. This guy has leader written all over him, man. He went in there, he came in, he started all 4 years in high school, started all 4 years in college, started his first couple years in the pros, and then bam, he's on the bench. He's sitting behind with the Giants. He's sitting behind with Seattle, just kind of like floating around. No aim in life, really, just kind of like in his football life, just kind of sitting there, kind of like being a backup. He never accepted being a backup. Okay. He never said, this is going to be my role. I'm just going to be the best backup I can be. Dude, that's freaking baloney. Never did he say that to himself or anybody else. Now, he said he was going to be a good teammate, but he said it in his press conference, he knew he was going to take someone's job because he knew he was good enough to play. And with the time he spent on the bench and getting the coaching and the attention and the more confidence that Pete Carroll gave him in Seattle, when the opportunity came, he grabbed it with both hands and he hasn't let it go since. All right, let's see what we've got going on here. Rick Rock. Coach Carroll and Russell Wilson was a good opportunity for Geno Smith to build on and grow out through his NFL career. So later on through his career, if he stays healthy, he can become a bridge quarterback. I honestly think he can be a little bit more than a bridge quarterback. I think he can really win some games for us. Now, most of the time, the phrase bridge quarterback has a negative connotation, whereas like you're just the stopgap till we get the next guy. And even though that may be true in a sense, I really do think this last kind of home stretch of Geno Smith's career can be a very fruitful and a very successful one for both of us. All right. Space Beast. Don't feel a me first vibe from him. I feel a quiet competitor. Yeah, man, that's one thing I said about in my video about the press conference. You can feel the confidence in Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. You can feel it because they look at each other and they know, hey, we know we can do this. It's not like, oh, I hope it works, or, if we get each other involved. Like, no. They know they can get this done. So that's a great thing. That's a great positive for everything involved here. All right, y'all. So you got anything about Geno Smith? Anything about Geno Smith here we could talk about? Because I got another thing we're going to talk about here. Free agencies. We can do some free agency grades here. The report card. His contract structure. Okay, cool. We can talk about that. So initially it was reported as a 2-year extension, $85 million with $66.5 million guaranteed. In essence, this is how it's laid out. The contract is, he went from $31 million guaranteed this season to $40 million guaranteed this season. Okay. Next season, Geno Smith is owed $18.5 million. That's already fully guaranteed. If Geno Smith is still on the roster on the third day of the league year, he is owed another $8 million guaranteed fully. So you take 40 from this year and you take 26 and a half next year. There's the $66.5 million. So the third year is non-guaranteed. I believe it's a $36 million non-guaranteed. No guarantees in that third year. In essence, we're getting Geno Smith for pretty much 1 year. Because even if you have to let him go and he doesn't sign anywhere else next season, it's only an $18 million cap hit. It's not going to be anything crazy. Okay. So it's kind of like a prove it deal for Geno Smith, but also it's a pretty nice payday, $40 million for a year. It's very similar to the deal that Sam Darnold got with Seattle, but Sam Darnold got, I think it was like 35 million, I think. And I think his second year guarantee was not as high. Raider Ryan, what's going on, baby? How we doing? Okay. It's scorecard time. I'm sorry. It's report card time. I never did really well in school, so I don't know what the hell am I talking about. So what we're going to talk about here is position by position. We're going to go through the positions. We're going to look at this point last year who were the starters and who are the starters this year, and see if we've gotten better or worse or what's going on. All right. First, we're going to start at the top, and we're going to start at quarterback because quarterback is the most important. All right. 2024, we had Gardner Minshew / Aiden O'Connell, who were going to go through a camp battle to see who was going to be the starting quarterback. Now, after all the dust settled and some games were played, it was pretty apparent, and it was pretty some guys are driving by with a pretty loud motorcycle is what it is. So it was pretty apparent to everyone, pretty obvious, that Aiden O'Connell should have been the choice from the very beginning. Even AP said that he second-guessed himself and he should have started Aiden O'Connell from the beginning. That's no small consolation to him because ultimately I think that was one of the decisions that ended up costing him his job. Another decision was having just so many hangers-on as like quote-unquote coaches who really weren't doing much. Really clouded his head and his judgment and made it a lot more difficult to make decisions because there was so many people around him telling him different things. All right, guys. Now, this season, it's Geno Smith. This is an obvious positive, okay? This is an obvious step up, okay? I understand there's a lot of people that are on the Aiden O'Connell boat that, Aiden O'Connell is going to win the job and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into it anymore. I don't like chewing my food twice, okay? I already talked to you guys plenty about how I feel about Aiden O'Connell. I like the dude. I think he's great. I love having him on the team. I think he's a great teammate. I think he's a great backup quarterback. But as far as a starting quarterback with the skills, the tools, the ability, the traits, also the pelts in his bag, right? He's won games in this league. It's a Geno Smith, of course, is the positive here. So that's definitely a plus. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to running back. And all right. So last season, it was actually, let me fix that. Sorry about that. I forgot the year from last year. I have it here typed out. I just need to make sure I get it done right. Okay, bear with me. It'll be worth it. Here we go. So in 2024, we had a kind of half and half with Zamir White and Alexander Madison. And this year, for right now, it's Raheem Mostert. This is a step up. Now, let's not be short-sighted, okay? I know a lot of times we're going to look at someone's very last season. For 2 seasons ago, okay, the last season that Raheem Mostert was healthy, he had 21 freaking touchdowns with the Dolphins, okay? I think Chip Kelly is every bit as good, maybe if not better, with more experience than Coach McDonald to put a game plan together to get a good usage out of his weapons. So I can see that this being a similar, maybe not 21, but a very similar season for Raheem Mostert. People are going to look at his last season. Well, he got a drop off and this and that, and he's a 30 and all this other stuff. Look, a lot of people don't know this, but Raheem Mostert had a fractured sternum last season, and it wasn't allowed to heal because he continued to play. That's brutal. I've had a fractured sternum myself. You can't even take a deep breath. Like, Lord, don't get tired and have to breathe deep. It's freaking nuts. It's crazy. You can't sleep on your side. You can only sleep on your back propped up because it's terrible, dude. It's freaking terrible. So yes, running back again is a positive for this team as opposed to where we were last season. Great. So there we go. So we have positive for quarterback and positive for running back. Next, we're going to take a look at wide receiver. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a funk. We had a guy that was, I don't know if you guys know what a leva is. Where I'm from in Long Beach and in various hoods across the United States that are predominantly Spanish speaking, a leva is a guy who used to be down for the crew, but they're not down anymore. Well, that's Davante Adams, okay? So last season, the wide receiver crew was Davante Adams, Jacoby Myers, and Trey Tucker. Right now, we have Myers, we have Trey Tucker, and we have Kyle Phillips. Those are our top 3 receivers out there. There's an obvious negative, okay? It's an obvious negative. I don't think we can add anyone that's going to be of the caliber of Davante Adams as a player. Now, as a person, as a teammate, all that nonsense, we're not talking about that, okay? That's completely different, okay? What we're looking at here is players on the field. I think if Pete Carroll would have gotten his hands on Davante Adams, it would have been a completely different story, but didn't happen. Davante is now elsewhere. He's someone else's problem now. So unfortunately, this is a negative. Okay. So this is something that, this is a bummer. Okay. Because we did have one of the best wide receivers in the game and now we don't. All right. And I don't know that trading out Kyle Phillips for Davante Adams is going to be a plus in anybody's book. Okay. All right. Let's move on to this because it's starting to make me a little bit sad here. Now we're going to take a look at tight end. And I don't know if you guys know this, but tight end group is the same. Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, and this year's the same thing. Now, I think it's actually going to be, I put it as a neutral because it's the same players, but we didn't know that Michael Mayer was going to miss extended time last season. I hope he doesn't miss extended time this season, number one. Number two, you have a Brock Bowers with a season under his belt who's gotten that much better and that much more familiar with the NFL game. His game was NFL ready from wherever, right? His game was NFL ready already, okay? But now he got a year under his belt in the NFL. I'm not going to try to be a homer here or anything like that. It's neutral. Let's just call it a neutral, okay? Let's just call it a push, all right? Because it's the same guys. So I think we're all right. Okay, let's go to the offensive line. All righty, we've got offensive line here. Oops, I keep forgetting to. Okay, offensive line. To start the season, or in this part of the season, 2024, it was Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Jackson Powers-Johnson, and DJ Glaze. This season, as of right now, penciled in light pencil. Okay, light pencil. It's Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Jackson Powers-Johnson at center, Alex Kappa at guard, and DJ Glaze at right tackle. I'm gonna amend this for a second because this is where we were in actuality last season at this point because of the injury to Jackson Powers-Johnson. It was actually this. And this is why I called it a positive. Hang on, it's going to be worth it. Here we go. So in actuality, this is what it was. Colton Miller, Dylan Parham, Andre James, Cody Whitehair, Thayer Munford. That's what was penciled in to start. These were going to be our starters. So if you look at it from this perspective, boop, it's an upgrade all the way. You got Miller and Parham are the same. You got JPJ at center instead of Andre James. You got Kappa instead of Whitehair, Glaze instead of Munford. This is a positive going into the season now, and we're not done. We're going to have a couple more guys added. I think at least 2 more offensive linemen we're going to add in this year's draft. And interior offensive line is deep. A lot of these tackles, okay, a lot of these tackles are getting shoved inside, and it's a lot more common now. It wasn't that much that common in the past, but over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, it's been a lot more common for some of these bigger tackles who maybe don't have the lateral movement to get kicked inside and be really good guards. So there's a lot more tackles out there that are going to be moved to guard, which means there's more interior offensive linemen. Let's see what we got here. Space Bees, minus RJ James is a positive. Man, leave old dude alone, bro. Leave old dude alone. Poor guy. Yeah, but yeah, it is truth. I'm not going to lie. It's truth. Okay, there's the offense. So just to follow the report card here, quarterback is a positive. Running back is a positive. Wide receiver, a negative. Tight end is neutral. Offensive line is positive. So overall, 3 out of the 5 position groups, positives, 1 neutral, which you can kind of say is a positive-ish, but I'm going to say neutral, and 1 negative at wide receiver. Okay. We're going to go on defense, all right? You guys with me here? You guys still with me? Holla at your boy. All right, so to start the season, it was Maxx Crosby, Christian Wilkins, John Jenkins, Tyree Wilson. That's what started the season last season. As of right now, we have Maxx Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Adam Butler, and Malcolm Kuntz. That is a positive. Anytime you can put Tyree Wilson on the bench, that is a super positive. And you replace him with a guy who's really good at Malcolm Kuntz, yeah, that's a super positive for me, man. Yeah, man, it's really as simple as that. Maxx Crosby's coming back healthy after surgery. He's good to go. Christian Wilkins coming back healthy after surgery. He's good to go. Adam Butler's going to get a larger role coming in here on the inside and the interior. He showed he can step up and take on a larger role as he did last season. He's going to be in there and make it happen. And also Malcolm Kuntz is going to come in. I mean, even more so than Malcolm Kuntz coming in as a player himself is he's taking Tyree Wilson out and putting him on the bench. That's going to be a positive. All right. So we're looking good here, okay? We're looking good. It's a positive on the defensive line. All right, let's take a look. Next, we're going to look at linebackers. And in linebackers, it's going to be a little bit – this is where the debate's going to come into play. All right. Last season, our linebackers were Robert Spillane and Divine Diablo. This season, we're going to have Landon Roberts and probably Devin White. It's tough to say. I really do feel in my heart of hearts and in my eyes of eyes and in my mind of minds, Landon Roberts is every bit as good as Robert Spillane. Is he like that, tough guy drinking a beer with a sleeveless T-shirt and a flannel tied around his waist in the back of a pickup truck tough? No, but he's tough nonetheless. He's a true leader. You saw it in his interviews. He's a true leader. He's a hard-nosed guy. He's a 2-time, Super Bowl champion with the Patriots. He knows how to get stuff done. The last time he got consistent snaps, he performed very well. He was a leading tackler for the Steelers 2 seasons ago. Last season, his snaps got cut into, and it happens, man. You go out and they get Patrick Queen, and he takes up most of the snaps. It wasn't because Landon Roberts is not Patrick Queen, but the last time he played really, really well. So I think that the Landon Roberts and Spillane is a wash. Now we get to Devin White and Divine Diablo. I think physical tools wise and just being able to play the position of linebacker, I think Devin White is a better player in that respect than Divine Diablo was. I think Divine Diablo, as a former safety, his best attribute as a linebacker should have been his coverage skills. He never had an interception. He's never had an interception. I think he's forced a couple of fumbles, but he's never had an interception. And Robert Spillane had like 5 in the last 2 seasons. It goes to show you he's been in position to do it. He just hasn't done it, or he just hasn't been able to cover as well. Devin White is different. Devin White, when he's under control, Devin White, when he's put in a position where his responsibility is clear, I think is an upgrade to Divine Diablo. But, and this is an Instagram model sized but, okay? Devin White is a little bit of a wild card. He likes to go off and do his own thing sometimes, and it gets him out of position, not only in coverage, but also in run support. So, because of that, I'm calling this neutral. I'm saying this is a neutral wash. One positive that we can take from this is, I mean, Divine Diablo and Robert Spillane got straight up pizzade this year, right? And Landon Roberts and Devin White aren't making that much money. So when you can replace guys that are making a ton of money elsewhere with guys who are just as good for a lot less money, you're doing something right. Okay, so the defensive line is done, and the linebackers are done. Now we're going to go to corner. Oops. Okay. And all right. So in 2024, we had Jack Jones, we had Jacorian Bennett, and Nate Hobbs. Those were our corners, starting corners last season. This season, we have Jacorian Bennett, Eric Stokes, and DeCam Richardson. That's as of right now. Put this under your hat, okay? Put this under your hat. And a report came out today that I heard like a week ago, okay? And I couldn't say anything about it because I don't want to betray anyone's trust. But there is a lot of talk that the Raiders are looking to move back in the first round. And a target that's been named, that's kind of a name that's floating around is what's his name? God damn it. I had it right on the tip of my tongue. Jahdae Brown from Texas. Which, look, if you take a look at Jahdae Brown from Texas, okay, look. Jahdae Brown is like the prototypical size, speed, skill-wise of a corner that Pete Carroll just covets. I think if we do get pushed back a little bit in the first round because we trade back, I think Jahdae Brown would be an excellent choice if we're in the mid to high teens or something like that. Again, I don't think it's anything that's kind of set in stone or anything like that, but there have been some kind of rumblings around town that Jahdae Brown could be a target after the Raiders to trade back. Just for reference's sake, let's take a look here. Let's see here. Jahdae Brown. Yep. Just under 6 feet, 195. Let's see here. Yeah, long arms. 4'3", 40. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah. I mean, it all checks out, dude. It all checks out. Look. This is a negative. Okay, this is a negative right now. Whatever you think about Jack Jones and just Nate Hobbs. Nate Hobbs is a very good slot corner. I don't think we've seen enough from DeCam Richardson to say yes or no. Eric Stokes is a very good number 2 corner. One of the things about Eric Stokes, and you have to realize this, Eric Stokes was playing opposite of a very good corner with the Packers, whose name escapes me right now. And that other corner ended up getting hurt, and Eric Stokes was having to step up to play that role of that guy, Jair Alexander. So Jair Alexander gets hurt, and Eric Stokes gets put in that place, and he just loses all his confidence, man. And it happens. You can definitely see where it can go one of two different ways here. Geno Smith got benched, and he was determined to get back on the field, right? And he didn't let it stop him with his belief or anything. And he said that he really credits Pete Carroll in building him back up after a couple of seasons not starting. This is going to be something that's very similar for Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes is a physical freak. 6'1", 195, legit 4'3", 40, can jump out of the freaking stadium. He's got long arms, got quick hands, got quick feet. This guy just needs a little bit of TLC, a little bit of confidence boost, and this guy's going to be a very good player. But I'm not going to give him credit for something that he can do in the future. I have to take a look at what we have right now. And unfortunately, what we have right now, a little bit of a negative. Okay, so we took a little bit of a step back corner-wise. That's why I talked a little bit about maybe a trade down with a corner like a Jahdae Brown being brought in. There's a couple other corners out there that fit the mold of what Pete Carroll wants to do, but for right now, we can only look at what we have right now. Okay, let's go ahead and look at safety. All right, so starting the season last season was Marcus Epps and Trevon Merrick. And this season we're going to have, actually, as of right now, it's Isaiah Pola-Mao and Jeremy Chin. That's a positive. I don't see much difference at all between Trevon Merrick and Jeremy Chin as far as their play goes. Now, as far as their physical assets, Jeremy Chin is another physical freak. I don't know how we were able to get him for the deal that we got him on, but this dude's 6'3", about 220, again, a 4'3" guy. He runs like a corner and hits like a linebacker. Those are not my words. Those are words of players who've played against Jeremy Chin. I'm going to tell you guys right now, Jeremy Chin is going to be a household name by the middle of the season. Him and Isaiah Pola-Mao are going to be the bash bros out there in the back. These guys are two thumpers back there, okay? We saw Isaiah Pola-Mao separate a man from the ball multiple times, with not poking the ball out, by hitting him, by relieving him of his senses, okay? So you have two guys on the back end who not only can play deep and cover deep, can also cover the slot, can also play in the box, but also can blitz, take on blockers, and run support. These two guys are prototypical what a Pete Carroll defense needs to be successful. Pete Carroll needs guys. Think of like the safeties that he had in Seattle with the Legion of Boom. Those guys were fast, big, strong, ball hawks, aggressive, violent. Dude, this is what we have here. For the way we want to play right now, the safeties we have right now are infinitely better than the ones we left. Now, I'm not going to disparage Marcus Epps. I liked Marcus Epps very much. He was a little bit of a liability in run support, okay? And he was maybe a half a step or a step slow sometimes in some of the deeper passes. Trevon Merrick, he did great for us. I wish him well over in Carolina. I think it's going to do very big things over there. But I think Jeremy Chin is just a little bit more physically gifted than Trevon Merrick was. And we're going to see a much more aggressive, violent play out of these safeties moving forward. Yeah, it shows, dude. They have the same big-ass head, dude. These guys are, whoo. I'm telling you guys right now, you guys are really going to have fun watching these safeties play, because right now they've unlocked with in the back end old school Raiders safeties going out there and just punishing people and dropping them, and just I'm going to stop right there. Just keep that under your hat. There's two things right now you want to keep under your hat: a trade back for Jahdae Brown or other similar type of corner. And watch these safeties this year, man. These safeties are going to be something special moving forward. Okay, up next, we have special teams. Yes, kickers are people too. 2024, we had AJ Cole, Daniel Carlson. This year, we have the same. That is a neutral push. Okay, so let's take a look at the report card here defensively. And defense and special teams. A defensive line is a positive. Linebacker is neutral. Corner is a negative. Safety is a positive. And special teams is a neutral. So overall, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positives. We have 2 negatives and 3 neutrals. So it's an overall upgrade. That's what we're looking for here. One thing that I want to get into here is This is prior to the draft. What we're looking at is a lot of these guys that we're seeing right now that are on this board were post-draft. Those are the guys after we had already drafted. So it's possible that we get a really good receiver and bolster up the receiving corps. It's possible that we get a top-end corner or two and bolster this corner group. It's possible that we get, another linebacker and it becomes a positive, right? So we got a lot of time here to go. What's today? It's the 10th today. So 2 weeks from today is the draft. I'm going to try to put out a lot of content as far as draft goes coming up. I don't like to just stick to one subject, even though the draft is coming up, because the draft itself is kind of its own thing. But I want to do a couple more things with some mock drafts and take a look at just the mock drafts. I look at them a little bit differently. I want to look at them as like more so like the thought behind it, like the theology behind the draft picks, not just the exact person themselves. But that's moving forward. For right now, we're looking at this report card, and it looks pretty good, man. We're looking in a lot better shape than we were last year in a lot of different positions, most notably the quarterback position. All right, guys, that's my time for tonight. I appreciate you guys. You guys are great. Make sure to please like, comment, and subscribe to this video. If you guys are on here, you might as well like it. It'll do me a lot of good. I really appreciate you guys. If you haven't subscribed and you're here, you might as well do it anyway. Everyone's doing it in Raider Nation. It's the best thing going in Raider Nation today. It's low calorie. It's gluten-free, whatever else you guys want. Go ahead and subscribe to Raiders versus the World. All right, guys, that's my time. Until next time, everybody. Peace.